Jen. How are you?
I'm great. I am so excited to be with you today.
Me too. Me too. I can't wait to have this conversation with you and to talk about everything great about you and for you to inspire us and, just help us keep going and be successful. So, how was your day, by the way? Did you have a
It's
good day
great.
today?
It's
Okay,
great. Yeah,
good.
it's been a long day, but it's great. And it's super hot here in Virginia right now. So
It's very hot here in Tennessee too.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
busy.
So, before we get started, I do want to talk about what was your purpose and your motivation just to even start this journey that you started on.
That I'm on now, the journey I'm on now,
Yes.
not way back. Okay. Yeah, the journey that I'm on now. I think in life, you learn, earn, and then return. And for me, I had done all the learning after 35 years in the financial services industry. I had learned not everything, you can never know everything, but I had learned, I had earned money. And I really was at that point where I was stepping into that return mode where I wanted to give back to the community that had given so much to me for 35 years. And that's what inspires me. I mean, that's what propels me. That's what wakes me up every morning. To be able to help others achieve what they want to achieve and make that impact in their lives every single day.
Awesome. So living a legacy while building it. I
Mhm.
think I've heard you say that before. So can you expound on that for me? What does that mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to know the backstory a little bit on it. Was hustling like we all do, right?
Right.
Hustling, trying to balance, which is what everybody calls it. I can't stand that word. I don't believe in it anymore, but, just trying to do that balance. And
Mhm.
really what happens when you balance is that you've got your hands in a couple different things. And this is why you're so tired because you're just trying to balance it, right? And
Mhm.
you are in the center going, I don't know if I can handle anymore. So making a decision to go in one side or the other and be fully present with your family or fully present with your business, is key for me. But, it happened one night. We were at dinner. We went out to dinner with our kids and my phone rang. And of course I took the call because my client needs me.
Right.
They really, really need me, right? And I was walking outside what I call the concrete balance beam, talking on the phone, walking back and forth, pacing back and forth. And I happened to look over into the window and there they were, my family laughing, having a great time,
Without
creating all these beautiful memories,
Mhm.
but I wasn't in them.
Right.
And that was the moment. In that moment, it was, I had enough. I am done. I'm done proving to everybody. I'm going to start living. I am done trying to create a legacy in the hopes that one day I'll be living long enough to be able to spend time with the legacy. And so I said, you know what? I want to start living it. I want to live my legacy every single day while I'm building a legacy. And there is no better way to do it because now balance isn't even a word, for me, but now my life is so fulfilled because I get to do what I want to do first and then my business comes in, and yet it's still a really successful business.
Right. Right. That's a great tip. That's awesome. I never really thought about it that way because we have our hands in so much and we call it balance and we're like trying to prioritize and put things in the place where they should be. So how do you master your priorities?
Yeah. Mastering priorities, I feel starts with your core values. I feel that's where it comes from is, so often women and, being an entrepreneur, those types of things, we put everything else first.
Mhm.
And yet we say, I ask a lot of people all the time, what is one of your core values? And people will actually respond with um, family, like it's a question.
Yeah.
Right. And I go, well, if it's a core value, it's a non negotiable. It's the
Mhm.
conviction that you have. And if your family's that important, that strong, then why are you working till 12 o'clock at night, 12 in the morning? And why are you working endless hours and yelling at your family and not having
Right.
dinner ready and not doing anything for yourself? And your health is suffering and your mental capacity is suffering and your relationships are suffering. And so for me, it starts with core values, getting really clear, really anchored in, grounded in what is important to me. What are those values for me, those principles that I live by, and those boundaries I set for myself. So that's step one. Step two is, okay, now that I've got the boundaries, what do I want to do?
Right.
What makes me happy? And I'm a competitive ballroom, Latin, and swing dancer on one side. And on the other side, I'm a competitive markswoman on a shooting team.
Okay.
Like this crazy,
right.
It's like I'm bipolar or something. but it's, and I don't do it at the same time because people have asked me, oh, do you do it? Yeah, right.
Right.
But that's important to me right now. My kids are grown. I have grandkids, but right now on a daily basis, that's what's important to me. And of course, my husband's important and my puppy dog and all that. But what is really important to me is getting that release to be reset, to sharpen my axe every day when I'm dancing or if I'm shooting, And so if that's what fulfills me, how do I get more of it?
Right.
And I get more of it by calling on, so to speak, phoning a friend of my core values. And so I have to say it's having the courage to say no to clients and yes to you.
Wow.
Instead of the other way around.
Right. That's awesome. That's very refreshing. That's amazing, actually. Like I've never heard anybody do those hobbies. Like that's amazing. How did you
those hobbies?
Yes. No, your answer was too.
Yeah.
Your answer was too. Yes, that was amazing. It was refreshing. That's true. Yeah. You're absolutely right. I think a lot of times we sabotage ourselves, because we are multitasking, as we call it, and we have so much going on. And you're right. It's hard to say no to your client and yes to you because we feel like that's a priority. We've worked so hard to get this client and to make our brand or, our business so successful that we sabotage ourselves sometimes. So how do you, what tips can you give us to avoid sabotaging your life?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the first thing is remember that you're not on demand, you're in demand, or get yourself to the point that you are in demand, because on demand is being everyone's beck and call girl. Right. And true. In business, we want to provide great customer experience. I get that. I totally get that. But just because the phone rings does not mean I have to answer it. It means that, especially if I'm involved in something that's very important in my business. So, thinking about the top 3 things every day, the top 3, we have 30 things to do, but the top 3 things that are important, doing a presentation, putting a presentation together for something that's 6 weeks from now is not important today. It's on your list, but it's not important today. So what needs to get done today? So I think that's one part of it. And again, the other is recognizing that you don't want to be an on-demand person. It's not sustainable. You don't have infinite energy. It might work when you get started, but it now becomes a pattern and a habit, and your clients expect it. So if you can hold that at bay from the very beginning and set those boundaries again and saying, hey, I'm with my kids from 6 to 7:30. And so if you're calling between 6 and 7:30, I'm having family dinner with my family and I will get back with you afterwards. Let me know if it's super important and I'll get back to you tonight. Otherwise, I'll give you a call tomorrow. And when you're in demand, you elevate yourself into a professional. It's the difference between being an MD, and no discredit to an MD. I know you're in the healthcare, no discredit to an MD, but it is the difference between being an MD who sees everybody and everybody and anything, any topic, and being a surgeon. You'll wait for the surgeon because they're just that good. And that's what being in demand is. And not, making sure you have a niche, making sure that you are very clear about what your expertise is. Because when you sell everything to everybody, you're selling nothing to nobody.
Wow.
And that's how you keep yourself trapped in that on-demand cycle.
Wow. That's very powerful. Yeah, that was awesome. So I want to talk about your book launch, because that is amazing. So can you tell us about that?
Yeah. Normally I have my book in front of me, right? But we had a little faux pas in the green room, so we won't talk about that. You know what? It would be great to have a big blooper, if we were only recording, right? If we were Pretty. But yeah, so I mean, I've got a couple books out and I have a few more coming out here in the next couple of months. But
Yes.
so Launch came out 4 years ago. I was in BNI, for multitudes of years, almost 7 years, and I kept being the president because people kept quitting and all that stuff. And I would have these one-to-ones, and what I found is that there was a lot of chit chat about what everybody was going to do, but no one ever actually did it. So we know what we need to do. We do know what we need to do. We just don't know how to do it. And so this particular book was a how-to, so that every chapter is no more than 2.5 pages. It's just down dirty, quick and easy. And then I give you an action item to go do it, right? Go do it. And you can open it up like soup for the soul. You don't have to read it from beginning to end. You should, so you understand the concept, but you can literally just open it up anywhere and say, I need some inspiration today. I need to figure out a new style, a new tactic, a new strategy, a new something, and you can implement it just like that. So we wanted to call it just shut up and go do it. But actually, we want to call it something else, but I won't say what that is. We want to call it just shut up and go do it. Just stop talking. Right. And then we turned it into stop talking, take action, get results. And then we turn it into Launch, right? How to take your business to new heights. And I still have stop talking, take action, get results in there. I am definitely an implementation ninja, right? That's what I love to do, is implement new strategies and tactics. It's not, and it's intentional. It is not what do they call it? Shiny object. It's not the shiny object syndrome. It is very, very intentional, because I believe you need to work on purpose so you can go play with passion.
Wow. You're right. You're right. And that's so essential. Like I don't think we realize the planning and the getting the courage up to do it, and then starting to do it. And then, we're stopping and like, oh, I'm not quite ready. Yeah, it takes a lot. It does. It takes a lot to launch. When I opened up my modeling studio, my pastor's wife, my first lady, she said, just set a date. She said, set a date and then work towards a date. And I was like, okay. Because she was like, if you never set a date, you're never going to start.
Oh, yeah.
You're just going to keep planning and planning and planning. And then it's just going to be a plan and not an action, like you said. So I was like, yeah, you're right. And I did. And I was outdone by myself. Like I couldn't believe I did it, and it was just breathtaking.
Right.
Breathtaking to do it, because I went from a stay-at-home mom. I waited till all my kids got into elementary school and middle school. And then I went into the medical field, and, I've been working, and my modeling studio has always been a passion of mine. I've modeled since I was a teenager. And so, what I offer here, we don't have in Chattanooga. So I was just mind blown that I did it myself, because I didn't think I had what it took to do it. Like I didn't believe in myself. I had it, I had the vision, I knew how to do it, but I didn't believe in myself. And I think that's what we lack a lot of times, is the actual belief that we can do it. We have all these great things inside of us, but we don't have the courage, like you said, to even say, okay, yeah, I can do this. I can accomplish this, So
well, and it's funny you say that, because, yes, it is the limiting beliefs too. And I think that it's a multitude of things. It's believing in yourself, right? Being able to take the action, but it's also knowing how to actually implement it, and that fear factor. And if you could just have 10 seconds of courage, you would avoid a lifetime of fear.
Right. Right.
10 seconds of that courage. And I think that is a super great point that you brought up. Limiting beliefs are definitely part of this too. And so that'll lead to something I'm doing in the future that I'll wait to tell you about. But what you were referencing is called the Parkinsons Law. And that's that if you don't have a timeline on something, it'll take forever to do. And we've all experienced that. When you're about ready to get on an airplane and you got to get out of the office, or you have to get out of the house, you can boom, 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 do it 10 times faster. Hey, we're women. If I had to get ready in 20 minutes, I could.
I could do it. Right.
I could. Right. But that's what the Parkinson's Law is like, come see, come saw, whatever happens.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's true. I think I did that today when I got off work.
Yeah.
So help us to figure out how to break through glass ceilings. I think that's amazing.
Yeah. Well, there's a code. And I have cracked the code on breaking through these glass ceilings. So the story on this is that Years ago, I was in the mortgage business and I was closing 18 loans a month. And at that time, I was in the top 1%. And then eventually I went into the top 200 loan officers in the country out of 785,000 of them. And, but I kept tapping on this ceiling, and it was glass ceiling to me because I could see other loans that could close, but physically I couldn't do it. Every month it was 17, 18, 17. I'm like, oh my goodness, I've got all these loans. Why can't I close more business? And I had to get out of my own way. That's first thing. Get out of your own way and hire somebody, and don't think that it's all about you,
Right.
and create a beautiful team. But I started cracking the code. I was trying different things and this, that, and the other. And when I cracked the code that I'll share with you, when I cracked it, I didn't go to 19. Because that's what I wanted to do, right? Like, get me to 19. I went to 26.
Okay.
And then I had other problems, right? As your business grows, you encounter all these new problems at different heights. And so that was part of the strategy too. But the story I told you about the restaurant, this is when I really said, because I was a good producer, but I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, gosh, there's got to be a way that I don't have to work as hard, right? I think I'm working smart, but there's got to be a better way to do this. And all I wanted to do was produce what I was producing. I had no intention of growing. It was just, how can I make this easier? It's got to happen. So there's 5 ways that I do this in cracking the code. And my track record with my clients is doubling and tripling their income.
Okay.
A very short period of time, because it's just a matter of getting these things right in the right order. So number 1 is clarity. We've talked about that, your core values, what fulfills you, what's your niche, how are you going to be different in the market? All of those things. How are you going to create customer experience different than someone else? And getting really, really clear on what it is you want to accomplish and finding the inspiration behind it so that you don't feel like you're just dragging along every day and on autopilot. And so that's number 1, clarity. Number 2 is credibility, right? What is your expertise? I know we can do everything. So can Starbucks, but they all talk about coffee. Right? They advertise coffee. They don't advertise their cute little pops that I love so much, right? They don't advertise chips that they have there, or their, sandwiches with people eat, right? It's always about the coffee and the frothy things and whatever. So, get clear on what your message is so that everyone knows, when it comes time to this is who I call. And so it's creating that market influence out there with your credibility and holding yourself accountable to your core values just as much as you hold everybody else accountable to your core values, right? The third is community. And this is really your database, but I don't call it database because then it's just a numbers game. This is my community. This is the acres and acres of diamonds, these deals that we do, the business that we get, it comes from heaven, right? We pray for it, we work for it, and it comes out of heaven, and it falls like stars, and it lands on the ground, and it's these beautiful, beautiful diamonds. And we just tramp on them all the time because we're just looking up for more diamonds.
That's true.
To fall from there. So you've got these acres and acres of these beautiful diamonds. Dig in, nurture them, don't neglect them, right? Work with people that complement, not people that complicate.
Right.
And that was part of it too, is I had to say goodbye to some of the relationships. They just, when you see their name, you go, ugh. Yeah. Yeah, that kind of hurts, right?
Yeah.
And so I just said goodbye to those relationships because they were taking too much of my time. Next is communication, and this is your process. You can't scale without a written process. It's no good in your head. Otherwise, you're going to be doing it forever. You've got to get it on paper. You got to get it digital, get it to an automated point, at some point, and then bring the people in, but make sure it's efficient and it's effective. It can't be effective for your client and then not efficient for you, where you're killing yourself to get it done, or vice versa. Right.
Right.
And last is continuity. And continuity is the consistent, mundane, boring, non-sexy stuff that it takes to be successful, because it is work, right? It is work. So I like bookending sort of, the credibility and the continuity, because That's time management, it's priority management, because those are really, really the key things. Those are mindset. Everything else is mechanics. But if you don't have these two things, and so many people, I don't have time management issues. I'm not clear. I don't know what I want to do. I'm not clear. I'm everybody's beck and call. I drop everything, things get through the hole, but they work on the mechanics, and none of that matters if you don't have this part first.
Right. That's true. Wow. That's powerful too. Yes. Being efficient is definitely important. That's one of my top things that I try to focus on every day. Like if it's not efficient, it's eliminated. If it's not helping me, it's eliminated. Also, when we as women, we tend to, like you said, we tend to be there for everybody else, right? So when you were going through your process of building, what was the first thing that you said to yourself that you said, okay, this is it. Like I have to make this decision for me.
Yeah. For me, I mean, as I made this transition, because, I was doing 50 million a year in production, right? This is not my revenue. These are the amount of loans I closed. Okay. 50 million in loans. So 50 million in loans. By the time I was done with this, about 2.5 years later, figuring out that's not the right code. This is the right one. Wait a minute. Let me try it all over again. Right. Playing with that. I was at 102 million.
Oh, wow.
And I was working 4 days a week. I didn't expect that. All I wanted was my time. Give it back. Give it back to me. For me, the number one thing that I said was, I have to get present. This scattered thought process of, tying the shoes, being on the phone, yelling, cooking, doing whatever, just can't happen. So I'm a one task person. I have one tab open on my computer. I don't have multiple tabs open. And quite frankly, most people would say, well, yeah, then you have to open up the tab all the time. But you know what? When the tab's open, you waste more time. So, right? One tab, one task at a time kind of person. And for me, it was about getting present. No more balancing, just 100% laser focused on the task at hand. Get in, get it done. That's at work on purpose. You don't need 8 hours in a day to work. True. You don't need it. You can choose to do it, but you don't need it. Get in, do what you need to do, and go have fun. Go have a blast with your family. Go do what you love to do. Right. So for me, it was getting present and always reminding myself, am I present? Am I on the task? Because we all are little squirrels, right?
We are.
And you go, squirrels, squirrel,
right.
You see a business card sitting and you go, oh, that's right. I'm supposed to call them. And then the phone, oh, that's right. And you're holding the card and you're kind of going, oh, wait a minute. There's this over here. Right. And it just goes crazy. So one task at a time, one step at a time. Yeah.
Yeah. That's key. It really is. With that, with doing one task at a time, one step at a time, how did you build your business? How did you take your business to higher heights, I say? And also let me say this too, because like you said, squirrel. So my other question is also, can you expound on what you did in the real estate business for us too?
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of a broad question, that part of it. What I did was the code that I told you, is I got real clear on everything.
Okay.
I'm really, really big with relationships. Intuitively, I'm a great connector. So for me, it stopped being about me and it started being about everybody else. How can I help you? How can I serve you? How can I do that? Go first. Be first, give first. And when I slowed down long enough to be present, then I could do that. It was already in my nature to do it, but I was so busy that I wasn't doing it. And, if you've ever heard of abundance and scarcity, we all have heard of those, but there's a document about this where you're above and below the line, abundancy or scarcity. And there's terminology that you use in scarcity that's so different from abundance. And I thought, hey, I got this. I'm a strong woman. I don't need your help. I'm good. Even though I'm like scrambling behind the scenes, but I'm like, oh, I'm good. And I thought that was abundance. It wasn't. It was actually scarcity. When I got real about it, I drew people in. It became a magnet. So rather than chasing, I was attracting business to me, and it just naturally came. And so that, I would say that that would be the number one thing. And I own 4 businesses right now, and they're all full-time businesses. They're all doing their thing. I was in mortgages, not real estate. So
Okay.
I did the mortgages, right? For
Right.
38 years now. I've been in that. I still do that on the side, not the same way I did before. I actually have a company and I have people that do it. I don't even really do it, but I know how to run a company. So I have a small company, a small brokerage firm. We do Airbnb as
Okay.
well. In fact, we Airbnb this house I'm sitting in.
Okay.
And so, and it'll be Airbnb next weekend, but we Airbnb multitudes of homes. We have residential real estate as well, because that was my product. Why wouldn't I buy it?
Right. Right.
That, and then of course I speak, have 2 podcasts. I have a TV show. I'm an author. I've got a lot of different books out. I have another book that just came out last month called Impact, and it just went #1. And so we're, there's just a lot of things that are going on right now. But in the mortgage space, that's what I did. It wasn't really so much in real estate as it was in mortgage.
Got you. Okay. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. Everyone, it's funny. I get that all the time. It's like, and she's been in real estate. And I'm like, I've never been a realtor. I don't know.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I guess I always think of the two as one, because
Yeah,
you can't have one without the other. So
right.
but I do apologize because there
No,
is a difference.
no, it's no big deal.
There is a difference.
I'm
But
used to it.
so how do you see yourself as successful? Like, define successful for us, like your version of successful.
For me, that's real easy. I was
Okay.
on the phone with my mom years ago. She's since passed, but I was on the phone with her and I said, "Oh, we're doing this and that and the other, and we're going here and we're going there." And she said, "Oh, honey, you have such a great quality of life and it's so good." And it hit me. I don't want to have a quality of life. I don't want to be keeping up with the Joneses, because that's what that was. It was just like a big rat race, right?
Mm-hmm.
That quality of life from her perspective was, I'm doing these things because I have money, or whatever it is. And it really halted me. And I said, no, I don't have a quality of life. What I want is a life of quality.
Right.
And for me, that's success. When I can choose what I want to do, when I can have my life, the steel of the tire, right, of the wheel on a car, right, the inner part, the steel, is my life, and the outside is my business, rather than having the business be the steel and working all these long hours, and the business has to be perfect. Because then what happens is the outside, the tire, the rubber gets run down, and it gets nails, and it gets poked in, and that becomes people's lives, and that's why they're not happy. So I don't want necessarily a quality of life. Of course, we have financial goals, right? But
Right.
I'm not seeking the quality of life. I'm seeking the life of quality. It's a lifestyle business. That's why I'm known as America's Lifestyle Business Master, because I want the lifestyle business. I want a great business that has to fit my lifestyle.
Right. Right. So how do you keep the two separate, or do you?
Which two? The business and the lifestyle?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, no. But like I said, I am all in, to the wall all day, for a chunk of the day, and then I
Right.
leave. When we're done with this podcast, I'm going to be going and dancing. I'll be
Okay.
heading out to the studio for a couple hours. So I come in, I do my thing. I know intentionally what I need to do. I don't mess around. I don't goof around with other things. I know exactly what I want to accomplish today, and how that feeds and moves the needle on my business. Get in, get out, and go have fun with life. And if I don't feel like working tomorrow, if I don't have any obligations, I won't.
Wow.
I won't. I'll just decide, maybe I'll fly. I don't know. I like flying places. So I've been to fly to Paris for the weekend because I'm on the East Coast and it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
They have really good last minute deals. But, and so it's, I want the deal, and I always
Right.
Airbnb when I go, which is cheap, because I'm on the cheap for everything. I'm very frugal. But we've been known to wake up in the morning and say, "Hey, let's go on the boat today. We'll just do our calls from the boat today." And that's what I want to be able to do, so that
Right.
I'm not tied down to all of those obligations that that aren't getting my business forward. I'm only focusing on what moves my business forward.
Right. That's true. That's awesome. So, on focusing on moving your business forward, you have the tell us about your other book, because I don't want to say the wrong name, because I think I wrote
Yeah,
down a
that's
different
okay. It's
book.
I don't, can you see it behind me? It's called Impact.
Yes.
Yeah, Impact. It's a book. We put this book together in 6 weeks. I had this idea because everyone talks in acronyms, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
thought, oh my gosh, let's just do an acronym book that will inspire people. I did not want this to be a bathroom book. Okay, this is more a bedside book, a inspirational book you can add to your Bible, right?
Right.
But Impact is an inspirational, motivational, powerful acronyms for cognitive thinking. Because what acronyms do is that they help you with your memory. They help you with your cognitive thinking. When I say launch, right, and you'd have to know what it is, but any kind of acronym that you hear, LOL, it doesn't
Right.
matter. It helps you remember.
It is.
And so what I did is I'm really fortunate to have some really good friends. Like Rob Angel is in the book. He created Pictionary. He's in the book. Alex Stern is in the book. He's a co-founder of Constant Contact. Jeff Hoffman is a co-founder of Priceline and the inventor of the kiosks that we use at the airport. So we have really, really wonderful, wonderful people in this book, all providing acronyms, very short chapters of acronyms that are spiritual, mindset, business, funny. There's some funny ones in there too. And, it's just a real fun collaboration with everyone to inspire people. That's really what it's about.
Awesome. That is. That's really what it's about. That's what I'm all about. So I also saw your book called Tell Me I Can't. Are you still working on that?
Yeah. So
Okay.
we have a lot of fun stuff coming up. So we're starting a TV show called Tell Me I Can't.
Awesome.
And it comes from what you had asked me before, is like, get out of my way, because you can't tell me I can't, because I'm going to show you what I can do. So we're going to explore people that were told they can, and we all have experienced that, but
Yeah.
really powerful stories, that people shouldn't have. They shouldn't have succeeded, but they did.
Right.
So it doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a celebrity or the Joe Blow, a man, a woman, a child, it doesn't matter. We're going to explore people that were told that they couldn't do something and how they persevered, in the hopes that we're inspiring others that when they're told they can't, those who typically would put their tail between their legs or say, yeah, you're right, and have those limiting beliefs, that they say, oh my gosh, if they can do it, I can do it too. It's just a matter of finding my gift, because the way I persevere and have that resilience is much different than the next person down the road. So that's what we're exploring on the TV show. We're going to be launching in January. We're going into the recording studio in October. So we're getting there. And simultaneously, we have a book that's being written of the same name. It's a fiction. It's being written for Hallmark and Lifetime as a movie. And we are very, very close to them accepting it. So we're just really excited about that. And of course, there will be stories of my life kind of peppered in there. If you've watched Hallmark and Lifetime, you know how the movie goes, right?
I do.
So there's some little stories peppered in there, on how this character of Amber, gets through these things and how she reflects on what she's learned in her life. A lot of what we've been talking about here, to persevere and say, get out of my way.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm excited about that. I can't wait. When I saw the name of the book, I was like, oh my God, I cannot wait to get that book.
Right.
Because you're right. We've all had that story. We've all been told we can't do something, or we shouldn't be able to do it. So yes, I'm excited about that. That's awesome. So about what is the name of your coaching? What kind of coaching do you do?
Yeah. So, I do a lot of different things. So the coaching I do is specifically for mortgage loan officers. I've decided to stay in that lane. I just coach mortgage loan officers because I know how to do it. I know how to do it there. I have a very boutique company. I don't want to be too big because that takes from my lifestyle. So I coach right there in that. On the other side, through Tell Me I Can and my speaking appearances, etc. I run masterminds. I'm a certified mastermind facilitator. So I run masterminds and retreats. So that's what I do on that side. And at the masterminds and the retreats, I bring in other content speakers and coaches and let them talk about coaching with people. I'm just collaborating and bringing everyone together, to help again, make an impact on people's lives.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, in your coaching for your mortgages, what is one of your best stories that you got?
I have a lot of really fun stories, really, really fun. I have a client who's in Tennessee, ironically.
Okay.
Yeah, I have some really good stories. Again, this is getting out of your own way. I have a client, her name is Katie. She's up in New England, and she was virtually crying every single time she called me, because she was just so stressed and overwhelmed, and living in this daily chaos, working all these horrible long hours and just feeling awful, right? And couldn't be with her husband, couldn't be with her kid. Her daughter at that time now has another one, but she was at the time closing 9 loans a month, which, by the way, is really good. Okay. It's really good. It's not great in the scheme of everything, but if you want to be a top producer, but she was doing really well. But she was struggling just like I was, at that time. And last month she closed 52 loans. So now she's helping 52 families instead of 9 families a month. She's helping 52 families. And she is the most chill person. I'm like, are you doing okay? Because I'm still in that mode, right? Are you okay? Are you okay? And she's like, yeah, it's all good. It's good, but we've grown her team. She's gotten out of her own way. She had another baby, and she had her baby on July 4th. A year ago. And, she's just happy as can be. I mean, and that's, what I do is, do you want the numbers, or do you want the life, or do you want both?
Right.
Right. And if you want the numbers, that's fine. I'll help you with the numbers. But if you want the life, and I've got another client, he does, 114 million a year, which is about 400 or 500 loans a year.
Mm-hmm.
And no life, hadn't been on vacation for 8 years. Finally went on vacation 2 months ago because he had to build the team. He was doing it all by himself. And again, I said, look, Nick, you don't have infinite energy. You just don't. You think you do for a couple months or a couple years, but you won't for a lifetime. And so let's make the change now. And so when he called, he said, look, I don't need any help with my numbers. I need help with my team. I need help getting out of my own way. Right. And so that he could have this life that he's always dreamed of. So why is he waiting to live his legacy?
Right. That's true.
Right?
That's true.
He wasn't enjoying it. And, so often we sacrifice the climb to wealth. We sacrifice our health for that climb to wealth.
That's true.
And then when we have the wealth, we sacrifice that to maintain our health because we killed ourselves on the way.
Right.
And so those are some of the stories. I mean, I've got tons of other stories where, just people are happy and they're crying because things, it clicks and they finally get it. And, they're just like, oh my gosh, it's just so much easier to work this way, to enjoy life.
Right. Now for our business owners, how do we relinquish that, getting out of your way? How do we relinquish? Okay, I'm done. I don't want to be the boss. I don't want to be the IT person. I don't want to be, the media person and the marketing. Yeah. Like, how do we relinquish it? Like, what's the first step in saying, I can trust this person to come in and help me build this business?
Yeah. Well, I teach a whole class on this, so I'm going to try to condense it to 30 seconds of an answer. How's that?
Yeah, that'll work.
45 seconds of an answer. So I call that smart scaling. Okay. And so what happens is that I feel like there's 3 stages of scale of a business, right? The first stage is all about me. Mm-hmm. So now I'm going to talk about an M's instead of C's like I did before. So it's all about me, right? I built it. I do everything. I clean the toilets. I do all the stuff, right? I do everything. And the client wants me because I built it. And so we have this chip on our shoulders that when we walk around, we're just like, oh, they want me. If I give them to someone else, they're not going to give me business because they want me. And for those of you that are you're not at that point where you're saying I'm ready to scale, then I would look at your process, because it's process and then people, right? Look at your process and say, do I have a process? Because if you don't have a process, that's probably the reason why you're not ready to scale, because it is you, and it's a different experience every time someone comes to you. So you have to get the process out of your head and into paper in order to take that next step. But once you have a process in your head, that's when you start growing, right?
Right.
You start growing, and they're actually coming to you because you have this experience and because you have the process. It's not you. Yes, they love you and all that. But if they love you and they decide to work with you and it falls apart, you're not going to grow. So you have to have the process. So it's not about you. It's about the process. So that takes us to stage 2. When you're in stage 2, now it's the mechanics or the methods, right? You've got this process going on, and you've kind of taken yourself out a little bit, and you've got people, but you're most of the time enabling, not empowering. You're telling them what to do. Follow my process. Here's my process. Follow my process, because I don't trust you. Did you do my process? Oh my God, I'm so afraid, right? And so we can't get out of that crazy cycle of it, because we're keeping them out of that second stage, and we ourselves are out of that second stage. So the only thing that's in the middle is the process, right? Stage 3, this is where the magic happens. This is your message. Now we're in message, where you're still out, you're getting further away, you're still the heart of the company, you're getting further and further away, and the people that work for you are managing the method. They're managing the process. Got it?
Right.
There's 3 things that happen in that place. 1, your vision. Now I'm going to V's. Your vision. This is why I wrote a book on acronyms. Okay. You're going to the V's. 1, what's your vision? Do you have a vision? What inspires you to do what you're doing? Does your company have a vision? And do your teammates know that? The people that are on your team, do they know the vision? 2, what are the core values of your business? Not of you, now of your business. What are your absolutely, this better not happen in my company? You know, we're going to call you back in 2 seconds. We're going to call you back in 2 hours. We're not going to call you back because we're going to be on demand or in demand. So whatever those core values are, does your team know? Do the rest of the people know? And lastly is your voice. Have you shared your voice with your team? If you don't use words like, well, this happened when I was writing my book launch. My one of the writers said petered out. It blah, 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 blah. It petered out. And I was like, what? I don't use that. I would say it diluted, it went away, right? And so what are your words? Are you casual? Are you formal? Is your writing formal? Is your writing casual and it's filled with emojis? Are you fun loving? You know, it's all of those voices. How do you respond to a client who tells you they're going to go with somebody else? You hang up the phone, or do you have a way that you communicate? Your team needs to know your voice. They need to know your core values for the team, and they need to know the vision for the team, so that now you're out of the bubble. The bubble is the vision, right? All the messaging and all that. And they are still down here working and managing the process, but now they're also managing the vision, the values, and the voice. And then you'll know you're successful when someone says, oh my gosh, it's so fun to talk to Susie, who's on your team. It's just like talking to you, Jen. It's supposed to be.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So hopefully I condensed that in a really short period of time.
You did.
It wasn't 45 seconds, but yeah, so you kind of got to get out of your own way and not make it about you, make it about your process, make it about the vision that you have for it, and make it about your team members. They're your number one client. And then you can be out there with the heart and do all the fun things that you like to do and relax. And because you built this great business and everyone's on the same page and you hired rock stars.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. So who inspires you? Do you have anybody who inspires you?
Yeah, Les Brown. That's easy. That's easy for me. Before COVID, I was on his faculty. I was on a speaking faculty. He has always motivated me, inspired me. And, you know, when I had the opportunity to speak on the same stage with him, and then he called me afterwards and said, hey, would you like to be on my faculty? I'm like, I don't know what that means. And he goes, oh, I'll just call you up from the minors when I need you to go speak. Okay, fine. So We did that. But yeah, I mean, I quote him every day, all day long. There are so many things that I quote about Les. He just inspires the heck out of me because he's one of the true people who was told he couldn't. He was a twin. He was a twin. He only got a third grade education. Everybody told him, and he was not the smart twin, and he had learning disabilities and all this stuff. And if there's anybody who was told they couldn't do it, it's how he persevered. And he gives me that inspiration every morning to say, that, okay, so the email signing up for a workshop, didn't go out the right way. Oh, well, fix it. And on we go, because that's not going to stop me.
Right.
And he's just all about that.
Wow. That's awesome. So tell us about your other podcast that you do.
Yeah, I have two. So one is called Success to Significance, Life After Breaking Through Glass Ceilings. And the other is Mortgage Lending Mastery. Mortgage Lending Mastery I've had for 7.5 years. I'm one of the veterans matter of fact, when we first started doing those podcasts, we didn't have video. It wasn't even a thing. We just did audio. So all those early ones don't have any video attached to them. That was a means to just help people to answer their questions. People started saying, "Hey, can I pick your brain?" And I'm such a giver. Yes, yes. And then I found myself falling into that again.
Yep.
And say, wait a minute, hold on. There's got to be a way I can deliver this. And that was through the podcast. And then Success to Significance it really came out because I think whatever we're doing before we make a transition into entrepreneurship, it's our identity.
Mm-hmm.
And so someone said to me, and not even 2 weeks after I had retired from lending, what do you do? I was networking, and what do you do? And I said, I'm a mortgage. I don't know. I don't know what I do now, because that was my identity.
Right.
And so I thought, okay, what is the shift I'm making? How do I move from being successful, especially as women, those of us that have been in our industries for so long? We created the path. We were the boat, that everyone else is in our wake, right? We created this path for women. But we've been doing it for 35 years and we're exhausted.
Right.
We're saying, yes, I'm successful, but what else is there? How do I make that shift and move from everything from success to significance, not just leaving success and being significant, but it really became life after breaking through glass ceilings. Once we break through, what's next for us? And by the way, it's not all about women. Once a man loses 100 pounds, he's broken through a ceiling.
Right.
How did he get through it? Right? What was it before? What was it like happening? And now what is it like now? And what's the impact that they're making on other people's lives because of it? Mm-hmm. So it's all kinds of ceilings that we all break through, multitude every day.
That's true. That's true. So talk to us a little bit more about success to significance. Like what's significant? What is significant in our lives? Like, how do we make sure to be successful and, to set that difference between there? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I guess the way that I'm going to answer this is this. There's motivation and there's inspiration. To me, motivation is a chaotic circle. I need to go to a conference to get motivated. And then I'm motivated, and then it wavers, and I need to go back again, right? And it's very short term. So here's an example of motivation. I need to lose 5 pounds. You lose 5 pounds, it's done, right? I want to make $5,000 next month. You make $5,000 next month. Brides, I need to lose a certain amount of weight by a certain time so I can fit into my dress. Well, then why don't you just buy a bigger dress, for God's sakes? But whatever. So you go through that. That's motivation. Inspiration is constant. It's constant. It's an inside job. It's not external, right? It's not external factors that I have to get motivated by someone else, but rather internal. And so it's the why. We definitely talk about it. You have the why. Here's why I do it, but you need inspiration to manifest that why into leaving your mark on the world so that people remember you or think about you when you're not even there. Because you made such an impact on them. And that's what I feel a lot of women in my age dynamic are doing, because our moms were stay-at-home moms. And when we left the nest, they said, well, now I'm going to go, I don't know what else to do. So I'm
Right.
going to be a secretary. But they were waiting with bated breath for us to have kids so they could come back and babysit the kids.
Yeah.
That is not us. And I love my grandkids, but no, thank you.
Yeah.
Right. And so we're the first generation that had these powerful jobs, high paying jobs, high whatevers, and it's just not enough. It's not enough for us. We want to know what's next there. We want to really affect people. And that's what I'm trying to do with Tell Me I Can't. That's what I'm doing with my coaching clients. That's what I do with my podcast, is how can I just give a nugget to someone that changes their lives, even though I may never know it happens, especially with podcasting. It's a one-way street, right?
It is.
Coaching, I get it. Tell Me I Can't, maybe I'll hear about it, but it's mostly a one-way
Right.
street on a television show. But that's what I want to do. And to me, that's what being significant is. My mom used to say, because I'm a neat freak, I'm a German clean freak. And she'd say, honey, in 100 years, it won't matter. But what will matter is the way that people talk about the way that you were present with them. The one thing I loved about my great grandma that I always heard is that she always this and that and the other. And so I had to change the story. And that's what I hope to be doing now.
Wow. Right. Yeah, that's true. I told my husband yesterday that, this is it. Like, I'm giving myself 2 years and I'm done, like I'm done working for other people. It's time to make me significant. It really is. I do everything I do, plus working 9 to 5, plus, my children, my husband, church, everything else. And it's like you said, I'm in that chaotic circle. I get my motivation and then I'm like, okay, I need some more. And then I'm around and I'm like, okay, I need some more.
Right.
The inspiration is there, but it's like you get worn out and you start dragging.
Yeah.
So,
inspiration is a it's a lifetime,
it's
when you think about the people that inspire us, Mother Teresa, right? Martin Luther King, these people that inspire us had a dream, like Martin Luther King says, right? They had that dream. It was so long, and every little step of the way was just getting to that dream, that vision that they had. And so they were so inspired from inside, really humble to arrogant at some points because they got to be strong, but, or aggressive, assertive, overconfident, but they are humble to a certain extent, and people love following people who inspire them, people that have vision, and that inspiration, it lasts a lifetime and it can change your life. Motivation is just once in a while kind of thing. And so when people say, are you a motivational speaker? I'm like, no way. I don't want to be that. I don't want to get you motivated and have you forget. I want you to be inspired.
Wow.
To motivate yourself every day because of the inspiration.
Wow. That's an awesome point. And I'm definitely taking that. I'm definitely going to take that. So you probably hear that again. I love that. That's an awesome point. I never thought about that. Like, I never thought about it in that concept before. So that's amazing. Yeah. So is there anything you would like to say to my listener that is starting that business? I guess to me, I'm probably my listener, they're starting their business.
Yeah. What are you waiting for? Stop talking, take action, get results. Yeah. What are you waiting for? Take the leap, start making the changes now, build that bridge. If you need to build a bridge, and we're not saying go from one island to the other. We're saying build the bridge, see where you want to go and start working backwards if that's what you need to do. But, for me, again, it's all about the heart, the heart in this. And so I'm going to leave you with a quote that my mom said, and it's actually a poem. I just can't remember who the person is, but we flatter those we scarcely know. We please the fleeting guests, but we deal many a thoughtless blow to those we love the best. And so that's the quote, be as true and as good to yourself as you are to that crazy business you have.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. So where can we find you?
Best place is JenDuPlessis.com.
Okay.
That's just the best place to go. I'm on social media. I'm all over the place. But yeah, go to jenduplessis.com and you can find out information about, if you have questions, you can email me from there and contact me and say, hey, I have questions about your mastermind. I have questions about your retreats. I want to come to one of those. And I love it because the retreats are mindset and heartfelt, and the masterminds are all about business and serving other people and helping others grow at the same time.
Wow. Okay. Definitely. I'm definitely going to be coming to a retreat, just to let you know.
Awesome. You can plan on crying. Because
Okay.
I'm going to make it. I make everybody cry, but I do it in a good way. It
Gotcha.
really is a good way. It's awesome.
Okay.
It's awesome.
I can't wait. I can't wait. Well, thank you so much for coming on Boss Wife Live. I know that we've all grown. I definitely have. And I'm definitely going to take a lot of this back into my arsenal, into my mental library, and definitely booking it. Like, this was amazing. This was definitely a lot for me to learn. So thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.